taking in about 6,000 donated bicycles annually. And this is an exponential growth from where Bikes Not Bombs began in 1984 in the basement of the Ferris Wheels bike shop right up the street. But these bicycles are then used in three main outlets. One are youth programs, which are based here in Jamaica Plain with youth from Roxbury, Dorchester, and Jamaica Plain. We have many programs. Today, Girls in Action, when I left the office, Girls in Action had just come back from a bike ride to the Arboretum, and the other half of the class was working on fixing up their own bike, which they're then going to get to keep. I could go on about the youth programs, but another outlet is the bike shop, which is right up the street from here by the Green Street Tea Station. They sell completely refurbished bicycles. It's a vocational training center. They have new and used parts and accessories, all your cycling needs. And then we also have our international programs. These are partners in Central America, in the Caribbean, and in Africa. And they're all different sorts of programs and partners. Our last container went to an organization in Guatemala called Maya Pedal, and some of the donated bikes will become water pumps, some will become grain grinders, corn shellers, pedal-powered machines. And our latest project that we helped to start from the ground up was in Koforidua, Ghana last year. That is the first actively run bike shop in Ghana. And it's fully staffed and run by people with physical disabilities. And you can follow the development of that whole project on our website. There's a link to a blog which details this really awesome work, and there are tons of pictures on there as well. So I encourage you to check that out. And so I'll just quickly tell you what we're going to do tonight. We have a 5-minute video that was made about Bikes Not Bombs by some volunteers who spent a couple days with us last August. And then we are going to hear from Carl, the founder of Bikes Not Bombs, for about 10 minutes. He will introduce the esteemed Bill McKibben, who we are all here to see. And then I'm going to come back and entice you with the bike-a-thon for a few minutes. Maybe we'll hear from some bike-a-thons.
This is festive night, and it's leading up to a really festive day on June 7th, the Green Roots Festival. Now, I was there last year, and I swear it was the hottest day of the entire summer. It was global warming personified, and it was a black stage that we were up on. And by the end, I weighed about 40 pounds more before that last June. I never gained it back. It's a really festive day, and everybody arriving back from the bike-a-thon, and with all that energy that for a quarter century has marked the work that people do at Bikes Not Bombs. And that kind of energy is very exciting, and it is catching. Now, I'm going to have to tell you a few depressing things tonight. That's sort of my job, is to be a professional bummer-outer. But I will get through it quickly and arrive, I hope, at some hope towards the end. But I want to begin just as a kind of inoculation against it with the piece of news that my friend Billy Parrish, who's the greatest youth climate organizer in the country and who's here tonight, we were talking earlier today. We'd both seen the same piece of news come across the wire today, which was that in the first quarter of this year in this country, there were more bicycles sold than automobiles. That's not the first time that's happened, because there were bicycles before there were automobiles, but it's the first time in a long time that that's happened. And it's not just because our auto industry is in the toilet, not just because we're in a huge recession, it's also because the work around the world of people like Carl and Jasmine and all their crew is paying off. People are beginning to understand what the future looks like and how sweet in many ways it can be. Let me tell you a story or two as we begin. Far from here. I was thinking about this the other day, remembering visiting Tibet a couple of years. This meeting and the meetings around it in the next year or two loom very large. If if those meetings were held today, not 6 months from now, but today, the result that they would produce would be far too limp and tepid to make much difference. In many ways, it would ratify the process of going toward 450 or 500 parts per million, ever further away from where we're a little slower than otherwise, but not turning us around. That means we have a few months, 6 months, to change the debate about this, to take this conversation and shift it so that the results of that conference are much better than they would be now. And not an easy thing to do. We're not going to be able to go out and elect a new president in every country on earth, you know. These negotiations are carried on mostly in secret, behind closed doors. It's not easy to go and lobby and influence them, though people will try, and they. What we really have to do is reset the psychological bar for what constitutes success. Somehow get across to leaders all around the world that the only kind of document that will work is one that is stiff enough to get us back to this 350 number as soon as possible. It constitutes not the slowing down, but the U-turn. So here's our plan for resetting that psychological bar, for rebooting this conversation as it were. Okay? Plan, which I tell you going in, is not guaranteed to work. The plan is take one day next fall, the 24th of October, and use it, take that most important number in the world and make it the most well-known number. Drive it into every, or as close to every human heart and head as we can get. So that after that time, if people know very little else about climate change, at least they will know that this number represents some kind of safety, some kind of refuge. To do it, we're going to have, as we did in this country 2 years ago, we're going to have events all over the world. And when I say all over the world, I mean all over the world. We opened the website at 350.org to allow people to register